Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the morning Quantum Leap pre-market session and trade level setup for Thursday, June the 19th, 2014. My name's Doug McKay. I'm the founder and head moderator. Quantum Leap is not a commercial venture. It is a private venture. We have a private Skype room that is coming up on our 5th anniversary. If you're interested in checking it out, it's a chat room in Skype, so you need a Skype account, but you can send me a contact request to Doug_McKay. I'll be the one from Windsor, Ontario, Canada. Also, we are in the process of building the website and everything that we're doing with Stealth Analytics. You can send me an email at d.mckay@stealthtrader.com. You can also get a 30-day free trial of the software if you go to stealthtrader.com and go through the download process. Each morning we come together and we do this live go-to, and we go through our morning routine. It starts with the key numbers, and we go macro to the micro. And then we look at the trends macro to the micro and the different time frames, and then we get some more in-depth chart analysis, and then we set up our trade levels for the day, our hypotheses, and our targets. If you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, you might want to skip ahead, but we can't skip because we're preparing for trading, and you have to have a regular routine to prepare yourself for trading. Before I do anything, I do have to get the legals out of the way, so let me do that. This information is for the purpose of educating members who want to expand the knowledge of the business of trading. It's not for trading or investment advice. You and only you are responsible for the trades or investment decisions you make. Trading features or any instrument involves risk loss. Please consider carefully whether features or options are appropriate to your financial situation. Only risk capital should be used when trading features or options. Investors could lose more than initial investment. Nobody at Quantum Leap is a certified trading advisor. We are retail traders operating within a self-organized learning environment. Past performance is not indicative of future results. Any trades that see in Quantum Leap are for education purposes only. Please trade your own due diligence or your own trade plan. Okay, so let's just talk about what happened yesterday, because I've been saying this for days now that we had an unequalized high, and what I meant by that is we had a all-time high. Let me just we had an all-time high in the June contract at 1954.75. That was adjusted down to 1947.50. And I've seen this time in and time again where when you get an all-time high put in a contract and it's adjusted down in the rollover, they don't like to leave those two highs, because adjusted high at 47.50 was the all-time high if you're looking at the adjusted numbers, but the real all-time high is 1954.75. And I kept on saying that we're likely to go back up and equalize these two highs and take out that 1954.75 so that it's put in this contract. And if you're ready to, if you don't believe that I've been saying that, go ahead and watch some of the videos on YouTube. I've been saying that for ever since the rollover happened and we got the adjusted high. Yesterday we ended up with a neutral extreme day. We were basically neutral. Going into the Fed gave us our neutral day, and then we ended up with a neutral extreme. So we have to look at the probabilities now of what possibly can happen when you get a neutral extreme. What does it mean? Well, it means that one of the opposing forces gave up, and obviously the sellers gave up and the buyers took control and took us up into new all-time highs within the September contract. We still have that 1954.75 just above us, and the probability is when you get a neutral extreme is to get continuation the next day. So I am expecting the continuation into this 54.75. Where we stop, I don't know. All I know is that I have to deal with the probabilities. So the risk today is all to the upside right now. It's not to the downside. It doesn't mean that it's not going to go down, and we'll take advantage and we'll trade what we see. But you have to be aware of what the probabilities are. And the probabilities after a neutral extreme is for a continuation of the move up to make the extreme. So let's get into our numbers. So we've got the all-time high at 1954.75. That's got to be your first target. Well, there's a couple targets just in front of it, but the main target above range and above value right now. Our month low is down at 1921 and a quarter. Not likely to go down there and test that today. And so in the macro level, there's really no other real numbers. We've got a week high right now, which is yesterday's RTH high at 1950 and a quarter on the RTH session. So let's go down into the intraday. Again, you can see that we're starting this trend up. We had a pretty strong trend for 14, 15 days. Then we had a little bit of a retracement, sucked all the shorts in, and now we rip it back up to the upside. We opened yesterday in the Globex 1933.50, had a high overnight at 35.50 and a low of 32.75. We opened auction in range at 1934.50. We ended up with a neutral extreme. Our initial opening swing high 35.75, opening swing low 33 for a 2 3/4 point opening swing. And I think I had a different opening swing, but that's okay. We had initial balance of high of 37, initial balance low of 33 for a 4-point initial balance, and that was typical of a pre-Fed announcement that we have a tight initial balance as we move sideways until we get the news. All our intraday numbers were higher yesterday. Higher 1230 number, 33.75 for those new in the room, 1230 central. All numbers in here are central, for time I should say. Our RTH high 50 and a quarter, our RTH low 29 and a quarter, our close 49.25, and our VPOC shifted up to 49.50. So you can see the trend is very much continuing. Now I've been talking about the fact that our 20-day ATR, ranges have been coiling, and I've been saying that this move, this breakout was going to happen. And you can see, our 20-day ATR target going into yesterday on the RTH session was under 10, and we exploded out of it with the neutral extreme at 21 points for our range yesterday. So we get a little bit of expansion in the the 20-day ATRs running now at 10 and a quarter on the RTH, 11 3/4 on the full session, and 6 and a quarter on the Globex. Our value area, again, high 49.75, higher low at 34 and a quarter, and then we broke the IB to the upside, to the downside first at 9:58 Central. So in that second pocket, and right around that time that has become the average breakout time for the initial balance. The volume, again, you can see that this volume continues to increase, where we were running with, whoops, sorry, the wrong button. Where the volume was, getting very, very light, okay, as people step into the sidelines. Now everybody's piling on. So let's take a look at the daily report. Our 20-day ATRs, the full session high so far in the Globex, 51 and a quarter. Full session low, 47.75. So our 20-day ATR targets to the upside, 1859.50, and that will take out and give us a new all-time high in both contracts. And our full session ATR target to the low side is 1839.50. So I want to just I did it again. Want to just go over to the COT report. Again, this is something that we talked about at the beginning of the week, and the fact that the smart money had left the building. Our neutral line right here. You can see that the large spec and the commercial, large spec and the commercial are net short, leaving the retail, net positive with this blow off top. And I do believe that this is our blow off top. So let's go over, take a look at the daily news. We had unemployment claims, unemployment claims at 7:30, 8:30 Eastern. We do have Philly Fed coming up at 9 Central and 10 Eastern with the CB leading index, and then we've got natural gas 9:30 Central, 10:30 Eastern. So Philly Fed is something that can give us a move in the market, and so just be careful in that first half hour of trading. So let's take a look at the trends macro to micro. Come on. Sorry. All right, so monthly trend very much intact, good slope and separation. I use 9 EMA and 20 SMA for my moving averages. Just something that I do. Doesn't mean that's what you have to watch, but that's what I watch. Great slope, great separation. Trend is very much intact. We're now above all the prior months, and this trend on the monthly continues to work its way up. On the weekly, same thing. You've got good slope and separation. We do have this technical gap. Looks like they'll go up and take out this 54.75 and then consolidate sideways with a move down to close this gap at some point in time in the next coming weeks. On the daily, you can see we never broke the 20 SMA. We had a nice technical gap here, came down, closed the gap on the 9, closed the gap on the 20, and then we held the 20, popped back up above the 9 EMA on Tuesday, and then yesterday we popped up and we're coming up into the all-time highs. We've got another little bit of a technical gap right here on the daily as well. Just going over to the geometric chart, I was looking at drawing in. I took out the opposing downward sloping fork that I drew in yesterday because we blew right through it. So like I said yesterday, I'll draw it in just to see how it reacts and what the frequency is against the levels, and see if it holds. And it didn't hold, so I took it out. I'll see what they do today on drawing the opposing fork, whether or not they go up and make a new high or not. But one of the things that we talked about yesterday in yesterday's session is, in fact, to watch this, the lower line of the short-term upward sloping fork, and if we didn't break below it, the likelihood would be we'd go up and test the center line, and we have come up and tested the center line. So today, right now, you want to watch this level right here at 1954. It's 1954.75, and if we get above that, we could move up to the upper line of the intermediate upward sloping fork and test the upper line there, and then we have the center line of the long-term upward sloping fork up here. We do have an energy point up here. It's not due to hit until the 26th, and that takes us up to 1968, 25 area, so you want to keep an eye on this energy point. In fact, I should let me just put the oval in there. Come on. So just keep an eye on this as possible, as a destination point, but we'll see how they react to the center line of the shorter-term fork. If they fail off of the center line of the short-term upward sloping fork, a move back down to test the lower line again would take us down into that 1932 area. But that's a little bit outside of our range, our 20-day ATR range low at 1839.50. So let's take a quick look at the intraday chart coming into the RTH session, see if we've got any trends. Oh, we've got a nice technical gap, Mr. Sneaky setup right here on the 4-hour. So you've got the tech gap, price moves away from the 9 EMA, strong, got the inside bar, now you've got consolidation and this technical gap here. Gap close is going to bring us into the 1945.50 area or thereabouts. So just keep an eye on this. On the 30-minute, the trend you can see has gone sideways on the 30-minute, so we've got consolidation, you've got a trend with a gap on the 4-hour, and then you've got consolidation on the 30-minute. There is a cup and handle, possibility set up. So I'm going to take it down to a lower time frame chart. Let's take it down to the 15-minute. It'll show better on the 15-minute. So right rim you've got right here. If we look at our retracement to validate the pattern, so to validate the pattern, we've got to come down into 1949.75 or as low as 1949.25 to validate this pattern. And then the measured move on this, I think it's 1959. I'm sorry, 1953.25, and that would take us up, and more likely we'd get a little bit of extension, probably up to the 127 and that 1954.75. So just keep an eye on whether this pattern sets up, and this will actually, be a possibility based on the composite levels as well. So let's go and take a look at the big picture. So just to bring some context into this, we were consolidating from February the 21st around what has been adjusted on the September contract at 1858. It was 1865 in the June contract. Then we went up and tried to break out of the smaller balance here and try to hold value where they tried to hold value after making the all-time high up at 1891.25. They found value and accepted value at 1884, and then we broke out of balance. They moved up. Then they found value and held value here at 1914.50. We consolidated there as we accepted that value. Then we broke up, went up and made the all-time high at 54.75, now adjusted to 47.50 in the September contract. They tried to hold value here at 1939.50, and then they couldn't hold value. We came down, and we came down almost to the 1914.50, but that 1914.50 was actually adjusted down from that 21.75, and really where we found buyers was at the June MC VPOC in around that 1920, 1921 area. And then we came up, consolidated, accepted value in around the 29.50, and then we broke out of value and went up and made all-time new highs in the September contract, and we're currently trading right at the all-time highs. Now, if they have to come down to find buyers, the two areas you want to look is you want to look for rotation back down to 43.25, but most likely back down to this 1940, 1939, 50 area for the first retest, and see if we can pick up buyers with conviction to go make another run. I think that the key line you've got to watch today is this 1947.50, and I'll show you why. So let's go over and take a look at our intraday chart and start moving our numbers over for the session. So our overnight high so far is up at 51.25. Our overnight low is 47.75. There's that 47.75. Write that number down. Put it in your journal right now. So the overnight low is 47.75. And you can see that that is a CLVN as well. And then we've got the overnight VPOC at 1948.75. So basically just below our VPOC. And they stole the VPOC into the close. The VPOC for most of the day was all the way down here at this 1934.25, and then we had the Fed wiggle, and then we had the move, and then we just went and created this neutral extreme day. So here's what we're looking at. We have a high from yesterday at 50 and a quarter. We're trading right there. So we're going to open up just either inside of value, or sorry, inside of range or just outside of range. Unless we get a move down in the next 25 minutes below the value area high at 49.75, we're going to get a open outside of value. So we've got a possibility of outside of value and outside of range. You have to be watching for the open for initiative buyers to step in here and rip us higher to take out the 51 and a quarter. We got a pretty tight range overnight, and the inventory is basically neutral overnight. So it's going to be a tricky open, and I don't think you can use the 49.75 value area high as your level. You really have to look at a possible rotation down to test the overnight low at 47.75 if you don't see buyers stepping in. So I'm going to use 47.75 as the main trade level today. Above this, you want to look for continuation to the move to the top side. Now, with the open, you're going to have a possible wiggle down right to take out the naked VPOC and test the value area high. They're within 2 ticks of each other. So, don't try to get long off of there. Wait to see if they come down to the 47.75 and then see how they print around the 47.75 and take the long back into the VPOC, get funded, and look for the breakout. If they don't, and they jump in, if they don't go down to the 47.75 and they jump in, wait for the breakout of the 50 and a quarter. And I would try to get long right off the break because they'll probably rip off the off the open and into the overnight high, and you want to be in and funded by the overnight high. There's no guidance above us, so you don't want to fade any move that breaks outside of range and outside of value until you get to that 54.75. And that's going to be our first target above range, our main target above value, and the possible spot where responsive sellers could step in. But if they don't step in, I'd be looking for a continuation and a move up into that. And remember, we had that measured move up at 1966. If you go back, I think last week we were looking at that 1966 as one of the measured moves area. So that's a possible extension to the upside. And then, of course, I'll be watching 75. And, again, if you're not long on this, I would just go to the sidelines and just, take the day off because you've got no real edge up here, okay? Even the 54.75 I don't think is likely to hold if we get initiative buyers stepping in and we get continuation of this move. So, keep the shorts inside of range. Outside of range, outside of value, all-time new highs, all-time, uncharted territory. It's not worth the trade. Take high probability trades where you've got an edge. Where are you going to put your stop? You don't know where they're going to stop. So why put money at risk in this type of a scenario? If we get back inside of value and back inside of range, and we break this 47.75, then I'd be looking for, we've got some definitive targets. We've got this 44.75 area, but really what I'd be looking at is the 43 and a quarter. And so my first target inside of range and inside of value is going to be 43 and a quarter. And then if we break, and that's also going to give you, a break inside of this LVN as well. And then, below the 43 and a quarter, you've got the 1940 and the 1939 and a quarter. So that would be, your target below 43.25. And I'll put the target at 1940 because that's right at the 50% retracement of the significant breakout candle. This is a breakout candle. Okay, even though it is inside. I should actually just take this. In fact, I'm going to do that. Come on. I'm going to have to redraw this probably. Oh, there we go. All right, so this is a breakout candle, and this is a significant breakout candle. I consider it a breakout of this 4-day microcomposite, even though the larger microcomposite would just barely, broke above. But 50%. Whenever we get a significant breakout candle, we always look for a 50% retracement of that candle, and that's down here at that 1940, 1939 and a quarter. And that takes us back to where we're likely to come back to test to pick up buyers. If we get below the 1940, the other side of that balance is 1937.75. And that's just above the value area high from yesterday and just below the LVN. So what I would do is I'd actually move this up slightly, okay, and bring it down to the 38.50 area, because if we get below that, then we're likely to come down and you're then probably have an 80% value area play that's kicked in, and we're likely to rotate down to where the VPOC was most of the day, and the HVN of the lower distribution from yesterday and the open from yesterday, all down here at 1934, and 1934 is a CHVN as well on the composite. So just in case we do see some weakness, whoops, not a trade area, sorry, it's a target, take it down to 1934. And then you've got the range low down at 1929 and a quarter. And anything below that, you want to look for a rotation down to test the value area low of the 4-day microcomposite and the value area low of the larger microcomposite. That's 26 and a quarter and 24.75. And I'm actually going to use 26 and a quarter as the first target. With the 24.50, 24 and a quarter, that's a range high as well down here as a trade area and a possible area to pick up buyers. Everything else, below that shifts down to this 1922.75. Below 1922.75, then I really think we're going to get that move down into the 1914.50 area. So you've got 22.75. No, that's pretty close between the two. That's a key CLVN, so I have to mark it on my chart, because below that, we're outside of value of both the microcomposites. We're outside of range from the prior day, and we're testing a key CLVN. Below that, you've got your two main targets at 1875. But the one I'd be really looking for is a move back down to where this move started at 1914.50. That's where they accepted value after the breakout of the the range that we were trading in. And then I don't think we're going to get down that far today, but you got to take a look at all the different levels. All right, let's take a look at the Russell. I did already put the Russell. In fact, you know what? I'm going to do that rather than draw it on the chart. I already put that into the room earlier, so let me just bring that up. And I'll just, we can read it. All right, so after having a neutral day up until the FOMC announcement, we ended up with a neutral extreme day. Probability leans toward continuation of the next day after a neutral extreme. Therefore, we have higher probabilities to the upside. All the risk is to the upside right now. Although that is a higher probability, we still have to trade what the auction gives us. With job claims, we could get revaluation of prices. We didn't, but not likely. So here are the levels for the Russell. We're likely to open just outside of range or barely inside of range of the high from yesterday's RTH session at 79.50. We're definitely going to open outside of value because value is all the way down at 1173.30. Watch for initiative buyers stepping in on the open and taking us higher. First target above is the 81.30 CHVN that we were looking at yesterday. We didn't get there. We only got to 79.50. But the overnight high is more likely to be tested at 1182.10. So they went up and took out that 1181.30 in the Globex and put in a high of 1182.10. With a microcomposite volume point of control just above that at 1182.30. So good targets if we stay above range high of 79.50. The first resistance is going to be up at 1184. The other side of that balance around the CHPN at 81.30. If we do not find sellers at 84.50, there's not much to hold us down until we get up to 92. And that's, once we're in the 90s, okay, this 1200 is going to be acting like a magnet. And we've got an all-time high up there at 1203.80, and it's likely to go up and test that. And what I'd be looking at if we go into that 1200 is look for the rule of 10 to kick in and then move up to the 1210 centennial number. Now, if we break back inside of range at 79.50, look for them to take out the overnight low of 1178.80 and test the CLVN down to 77.20. That was a key level for us yesterday in the Russell to the upside. Below that, we have targets at 74.90 and likely going down to test the value area high that is up at 11 or below at 1173.30. Inside of value, we've got an LVN and 50% tracement of yesterday's breakout candle at 71. Any break below that will put you into the lower distribution from yesterday and a rotation back down to the naked Depop at 67.50. This also sets up the 80% value area trade and a move to the lower side of value and the value area low at 1165.20. If we break below value, the range low is 62.50. Any break below that will give us a rotation to find buyers at the micro composite VPOC back at 1159.10. Levels below that, on the other side of balance is 55.50, 53.40, and 53.70. Although the probability of that large of a rotation is on the low side. So let's just take a look at what that looks like on the chart. So there's the composite. Let's bring the intraday. What happened to my Russell intraday? Crap. Somehow closed that chart. All right, and let's see where we are. Looks like we've got a new all-time, a new high in the Globex here. Yes, we do. 82.40. All right, so I did this about an hour ago, my hypothesis, and we're definitely going to open up outside of value and outside of range. So look for initiative buyers to step in, and we've got, we're right at that microcomposite VPOC now, and the other side of that balance is 84.50. So look for 84.50 to be the first spot where you would see responsive sellers stepping in. And above 84, you really got a blunt profile here. We really don't have anything up until this 91.92 level. So the first target above is really going to be all the way up here at this 92, with the 95.90 as a former microcomposite VPOC and CHVN. So 95.90. And then again, you've got 1200, the 1203, was it 1203.80 as your first target, and then I have 1210. All right, and then if we come down and we get come back down and test the range high at 79, look for them to take out the overnight low, and then I really wouldn't think we'd have much resistance until our support until we get down to the value area high here at 73.50, and then just below that you've got the LVN at 70, and you've got the VPOC at 1167.50 with the value area low at 65.30. So just go back and refer to the levels that I posted earlier. Gold, I've been telling everybody, once we broke above that 66 level in gold that you had when we talked about that one move up to the 1285.60, which was basically $1,000 trade for a one lot. I said, don't even think about it, just get long. I said, if we hold the 1266, which has now been shifted up to 1267.40, that we're likely to rotate up into the 1293. We're currently testing the CLVN between the 1285.80 and the 1293. If we break above this 1289, again, easy money into 93, and if not, all the way up to 94.70. But I mean, you should already be long with the breakout of 66. So again, key level for gold today is 1289.40. And if we get above, look for a rotation back up into the most accepted price. This is the composite VPOC, and this composite goes back all the way to October the 24th, 2008. So the most traded price in all these years is at 1293. You really think they're going to leave it and not, go price discovery up to test to see if they can pick up sellers with conviction up here now that they've broken above this 1266? I think it's a foregone conclusion that we see 1293. Doesn't mean we're going to see it today, but it's going to suck us in and come back up into this balance in around the 1294. So that's what I'm looking at gold. If we get below and we can't get above this 1289.40, then they'll probably have to come down at least to this 1285.70 to see if they can pick up buyers. Maybe another retrace down to test the 1277 level, but I don't think so. I think this gold is front running what is going to be this blow off top that we get in this indexes. And you know that I'm looking for 1400 in gold at some point in time in the near future. So that's what I'm looking for gold. It's 9:22 Eastern, 8:22 Central. That's going to complete our morning homework session. As always, trade well, trade safe, and we'll catch you on the flip side.